I am back today with a very interesting pocket pistol. This is a vintage Seecamp chambered in 32 ACP, and I picked this up from American Pawn and Gun located in Monroe, North Carolina during a pawn shop find video. I've been eyeballing these for a while and always wanted to grab one, but honestly they were pretty high priced for what they were, but that was due to the collectability of these firearms. From my perspective, I wanted one for my mouse gun collection, as well as to see if it was an actual viable option as a backup pocket pistol chambered in 32. I actually love that cartridge as a backup pocket pistol. I have a lot of the different tip-up barrel Berettas and a few other options, but this one by far is the absolute smallest pocket pistol that's not a 22 that I own, and this is pretty impressive as a secondary firearm, but we'll talk a little bit more about that with the rest of this video. Now, 32 ACP has kind of fallen out of favor, but you can still get ammo, and in fact, American Pawn and Gun had some and sent over a box of hollow points to test out function, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. American Pawn and Gun is also doing something special for my viewers in March. You can head over there, check online, and get more details about that. You can also follow them on Facebook and Instagram to get some more info, as well as follow me on my campsite page. Definitely check that out in the description below. This is very interesting because the first thing I noticed was its size. One of the smallest pocket pistols I own, like I said earlier, but the weight on it is actually fairly heavy for its size, so it helps absorb some of the recoil. The next thing I noticed was the trigger. Now, I can't use the trigger without the mag out of the gun, so I want to show you guys that it's clear. And in fact, you can't actually clear the gun while the mag is out. You can't pull that back, so that's odd. But the trigger is very smooth, but it is heavy. Then it hits a pressure peak right here, and then finally it breaks. This is a heavy, heavy trigger. So it's not going to be a tack driver by any means, but I do want to get to accuracy because given the fact that it's got no sights, I wasn't expecting to hit the broadside of a barn. But in fact, at 5 yards, I was hitting groups in the size of my hand, no problem. So from 7 yards, it opened up just a touch, but honestly, you could get fairly good groups if you took your time and made your shots. On a full-size silhouette at about 10 yards, I could mag dump and hit the majority of the shots on that full-size silhouette, if not all of them, every single time, just as fast as I could pull the trigger. So a defensive tool, 10 yards and in, you're going to be good to go. Like I said, if I took my time at 7 yards, I was getting shot placements within the size of my hand, and that's because you kind of just line up that top. You make sure you don't see the top of the barrel poking up. You make sure you don't catch too much of the back, and you just line it up perfectly, and then it's almost like you do have sights. You're kind of just point shooting, and it feels fairly natural. When it's in your hands, you really get one finger around it, with the second one barely getting a hold of it if you kind of rock your finger up on the trigger guard. The trigger guard just allows you to get your finger in there with just a touch more room. The grip texture is fairly nice. You don't have to worry about slide bite, actually. It stays far away enough from your hand, and the slide serrations on the slide themselves do a pretty good job when you're chambering the round. I would love to see just a basic set of sights on this. I feel like that's the only way this could be improved. But overall, it was 100% reliable down at the range with the ammo that American Pawn and Gun sent out to the channel. Just PMC hollow points, no function issues whatsoever. The cool thing about this is because it's so small, you can just slide this right in your pocket with a little pocket holster, and you're good to go as a backup gun. You can carry your primary weapon inside the waistband and have this as a backup. It's actually a pretty formidable opponent when you consider that it works. It's small, it's compact, it's discreet. It's a very good option if you weren't just grabbing it for a mouse gun collection. Will this be in my carry rotation? Maybe as a backup. Most likely it'll be relegated to the gun safe with all the other collectible handguns. Because honestly, a lot of my backups are just that new Ruger LCP Max with 10 rounds of 380. That's hard to beat. But if I didn't feel like carrying something so big or it was printing a little bit too much, this would be a great option. So I hope you guys liked the video. I hope it gives you a cool overview of a unique vintage handgun. And I also hope it kind of gives you a little bit more information about American Pawn and Gun located in Monroe, North Carolina. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a good one.